What originated as a protest against war became an exercise in toxic gender rigidity and worship of a mythical, perfect Doris Day model of feminine nurturing. But motherhood, like life, is more complicated than will fit on a Hallmark card or in a bunch of flowers. Motherhood and our relationship with motherhood is complicated. Irma Bombeck famously described motherhood as the world's second oldest profession, and there are as many ways to be a mother as there are people who do that work. Now, I want to pause for a moment and talk about how our efforts at inclusion sometimes fail us in unintended ways. Too often we approach Mother's Day with a watered-down message of, well, all people are capable of nurturing and doing things that mothers stereotypically do. And that's one of those good intention things that ends up sounding a whole lot like all lives matter, or I don't see race or gender. Julia Ward Howe was speaking and writing as a mother who was tired of seeing young men go off to die in wars. She wanted peace. She wanted to keep the boys at home where she could care for them, nurture them, and raise them to be good and decent men. In her age, women were not permitted to do much other than mother. The career options at the time involved being a nurse or being a nun. At that time, men were still doing most of the clerical work that later became the realm of female secretaries. She was not allowed to vote. She published her books of poetry anonymously, so her husband would not know. She was not allowed to own property or to have her own bank account independent of her husband's. In fact, when they married, he gained control of all of her inherited assets, which were substantial, which he then managed poorly, leaving her nearly broke by the time he died. In her age and ours, the word of a mother carries weight. Mothers know stuff. Mothers know a level of continued heartbreak that few others could imagine. And it's complicated. Mothers are not always women. Mothers are not always a person who has been pregnant. Not all people who have borne a child are mothers. There are a lot of shades to this spectrum, and each of them carries a unique kind of vulnerability that comes with caring for children. Motherhood is complicated. A year ago, we met. And I told you my own story of meeting my birth mother at the age of 30. I was 30. Nobody's story is easy. Nobody's story is simple. In life, we have successes and failures. Motherhood, as near as I can tell, is a never-ending series of joys and heartbreaks, some big, some small, and far too many that make a person's heart feel as though it might explode out of your chest. This is one of those days each year where I feel utterly ill-equipped to say something appropriate or inspirational about Mother's Day. And so, I'm going to share with you the words of a dear friend and colleague, UU Minister Reverend Lisa Bovee Kemper, who serves our congregation in Asheville, North Carolina. She wrote this. It's called A Circle of Care for Mother's Day. In religious community, we share our joys and our triumphs, our sorrows and our broken places. In this circle of care, we make space for the complexity of life, the myriad experiences that bless and break our hearts. The truth of human experience dictates that on any given day, we each come to the table with hearts in different places. It is especially so on this day, invented to honor women who nurture. And so in this circle of care, we honor the truth that mothering is not and never will be quantified in one single descriptor. Mothering can be elusive or infuriating, fulfilling or confusing, commonplace or triumphant. It exists in the everyday experiences of each person. There is no human being that is not connected or disconnected from a mother. And so we honor the complexity of experience, writ large in flowered platitudes, but here in this space laid bare, honoring the truth in each of our hearts. There is room for all in this circle. If you have carried a child or children, whether or not they came to be born, we see you. If you have fervently wished to do so and circumstances of fate made it impossible, we see you. If you love children we cannot see, whether because of death or estrangement, we see you. If you never wanted to be a mother, we see you. If you are happy to mother other people's children as an educator, an auntie, or a special friend, we see you. If your mother hurt you, physically or emotionally, we see you. If you had no mother at all, we see you. If your mother is or was your best friend, we see you. If your gender says that you are not a mother, and yet you take on the role of nurturer, we see you. If you wonder whether your mothering has been enough, we see you. And if yours is a different truth altogether, we honor your unspoken story. There is room for all in this circle. May each of you enjoy this day to its fullest potential. May you have joy and love, whether from family of origin or family of your own design. Happy Mother's Day. Amen. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit